All right, everybody. Welcome back, or welcome to our first game playthrough. We're going to play through the game Dice Throne. We're going to start off with recommended first couple characters, which they consider the easy or least complex. And we're going to start off with 35 health points each instead of the normal 50. Now, the two characters that we are starting off with is the Barbarian, who, part of the reason why he's so minimal on complexity is because he's just there for brute strength. And so it makes it kind of an easy plan on how you're going to work with them and go through the process. And then Christy's going to be utilizing Moon Elf. She, so far in our playthroughs that we've done, she's kicked my can utilizing Moon Elf.
That's right.
But she's more finesse and trying to get, damage that she can ignore. So here is kind of the start of what we're going to be doing. You're going to receive one of these cards that has some information on both front and back. Inside your unique deck of cards for each character, which also has its own unique dice with different parts to it. Now, there's a turn player order. The first player on the very first turn will ignore the two steps here of the upkeep phase and the income phase to start the game. So that's kind of the one drawback between being the very first player. Then you jump into a main phase. Now there's actually two main phases. You do the exact same things in both of them, but you have the main phase where you're going to play abilities, you're going to play main phase action cards, and you're going to sell cards to earn what's called combat points. Combat points is what you utilize to pay for cards or pay for things. And so you're going to handle majority of that stuff during your main phase. Now there's really three different kinds of cards. You've got the main phase cards, which are going to be blue. Things that you're going to do in the main phase step are going to be blue colored. Much like this, they could have a symbol of this arrow, which means it's an upgrade to one of the things that you have here on your board, making it better. Or it could have this big M in it, indicating that it's only played during the main phase. Okay. Then you're going to have other cards that are orange colored. And these cards are played during your roll phase. So it could be one of these three steps. So it could be your offensive roll phase. It could be the targeting roll phase if you're playing more than just one-on-one. Or it could be a defensive roll phase. And so, but the color coding makes it real easy to understand what that card's going to, when that card's going to be played, and probably what it's going to be played for. It gives you a good quick reference. Okay. And when you look over here besides this little graphic that's right here, you're going to see the cost in CP. So this card costs 2. Some cards cost 0. Others cost up to 4. So there's different values with those cards. But when you sell those cards, as we talked about in the main phase, you only ever get 1 CP, okay, per card. So it doesn't matter what the cost of it is. If you sell it, it's going to earn you 1 point. Now, another card that we have available to us are these red cards here. These red cards are called instants or instant actions, and you can play them basically at any time. So you want to look at what the instant is and what it's doing to see when the best time is to play. So in this case, it's called evade, and the target player gains evasion, or evasive, So Christy, one of her abilities is evasive right here, and she earns those tokens, puts them on her guy, and is then able to roll after she's received damage. She's able to then roll and see if she can ignore that damage. Okay, so that card there automatically gives her that token to be able to then ignore or have the potential to ignore damage later. Then you have a second main phase, so again doing the same thing as in your first main phase. And then you have a discard phase. So if you actually have more cards than 6 in your hand when you get through all of this, you now have to sell cards. You're forced to do it. You don't get an option to keep cards in your hand. So you have to sell cards until you get down to 6 cards in your hand total. Okay, so but at least you get the benefit of getting more combat points during that, so that's a nice little thing. If we look at the flip side of the card, it actually goes through the main phase cards and symbols that are on there so that you have a different designation. So this M, if you have a little dice and it's orange, and you have a little question mark for the instant. Now, that evasive that we talked about is called a status effect. Okay, and so anytime we get a token, it is a status effect, and this kind of gives you a little brief description on what it does. Now, most instance or most status effects actually kind of govern what they do, so they're not all equal in the sense of how they're treated or how they react during a turn. Okay. On these boards here, we can see different abilities that are there. I know we're kind of zoomed out a little bit here, but these are your attack abilities. And like we mentioned, you can upgrade those throughout the game. This green one over here is a little bit different. This one's your defense ability. So we talked about that defensive roll phase. You're going to utilize your defensive roll, or this green section here, to be your defensive roll. We also kind of pointed out some aspects on the card. You can see 1 through 6 here on this barbarian leaflet. And then it identifies what other symbols are going to be on what numbers. Okay, so you can kind of see where your most benefit or the things that are going to get produced the most are. So mine happens to be very similar to Moon Elves, my barbarians, in the fact that we have sword versus arrow, I have 2 life versus foot, and I have POW versus moon. Not all of the other characters are this way. Okay? So be aware of that. Know that there are some differences there, but they are, again, the dice are unique to each character as well as the decks of cards. Okay? All right. With that quick little intro on different things, I'm not going to go over the individual status effects for these characters. We'll kind of learn those as we play through them. Okay? So with that, Christy and I are going to roll off to see who gets to go first.
Ooh.
We're going to reroll here.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, this never happens. All right. I get the honor of going first here. We're going to draw 4 cards to start the game. And as I am the first player, I do not get to do the upkeep phase, which is I apply any status effects, or the income phase, which is I would gain a card and gain a combat point. But at this point, we're going to start looking through the cards here. I am going to actually pay 2 combat points to upgrade my fortitude to a level 2. So my fortitude originally gave me on 3 dice. If I rolled 3 dice at the end of my roll, I had 3 hearts, then I would heal 4 damage. If I had 4 hearts, I'd heal 5, and 5 hearts, I'd heal 6. This increase changes that to 5, 6, and 7, but then it gives me an additional bonus here saying on a 3 of a kind in the numbers. So if I rolled, in this case, 3 hearts, and I rolled 3 4s as well instead of a potential 5 in that. If I roll a 3 of a kind, you may also remove 1 status effect from yourself. So if I had a negative status effect for my opponent, then I could remove that as well. So keeping that in mind, that was a nice little bump that I received there. Okay, well, my combat points are down to 0. I don't have anything else that I want to do right now. I'm going to move on to out of my main phase step and move on to my offensive roll. I'm going to roll my 5 dice. And I happen to roll a small straight on that first roll. Now, just like in Yahtzee, you get to roll up to 3 times. You don't have to, but you get to do that. I'm going to try for a large straight. Now, right now, each of these, there's different symbols. We talked about the hearts. If I ended up collecting 3 hearts, I can do that with swords to do damage. A couple swords and a couple pows to do different damage ability here. Some swords and some other pow to do something different here. This one says small straight will deal 9 damage. This one's a large straight, it'll do 15 damage, and I would then receive 4 damage in return too. So it does some damage back to me because I'm doing such a big amount of damage to her. And then this one inflicts stun and then deals 5 undefendable damage if I end up rolling 4 pows. So undefendable damage means that she can't roll her dice to try defending, but she could potentially use something else in her cards or like evasive or something like that to not take that damage. Okay, so I'm going to roll my second roll here. I got a 2. So that could benefit me in getting 6 damage, but I'm still better on the 9 damage here, so I'm going to stick with that. And I got a 3. So I'm going to stick with the small straight and deal 9 damage to Christy. Okay.
All right. Well, for my defensive roll, I'm allowed to roll all 5 of my dice. And if I roll at least 2 feet, then I prevent half the damage that he does to me rounded up. So I would be able to prevent 5 damage.
5 damage.
And for every 2 arrows that I roll, I deal 1 damage back to him. So there's my 2 feet. So I only get 4 damage.
Yep, you take 4 damage because you're preventing half rounded up.
And for 2 arrows, he gets 1 damage dealt back to him.
Okay, so I'm going to take that damage. And Christy will take her 4 damage. So it ended up being, I still caused damage to her, but not as good as I'd like because she's pretty quick and agile. All right, and so then, because we are now done with the offensive roll phase, we don't have anybody to target. That's only for if it's more than 2 people. We've now finished the defensive roll phase. We're now on to the main phase, the second main phase here. And I don't have anything else that I can do, and since I only have 3 cards in my hand, I'm done at this point, and I turn the turn over to Christy.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with the upkeep phase, which is resolving any status effects. There are no status effects in play. It's these guys, these tokens. So we can skip that one. So now the income phase, I get 1 combat point and 1 card in the income phase. And then I wanted to show you guys this. Actually, first I'm going to play Vegas Baby, which allows me to roll 1 die, and I gain half the value rounded up in combat points. So I rolled a 2, so I get half of that, so I get 1 more combat point. Okay, so now what I wanted to show you was this upgrade I have. It's for the longbow. I have an upgrade to 2 and an upgrade to 3. Upgrading it 2 costs 2 combat points. Upgrading it 3 costs 3 combat points. Now, I don't have to go upgrade to 2 and then to 3. I can go straight to 3 and just pay the 3 combat points. If I didn't have these in the same hand or something, I could upgrade to longbow 2 and pay the 2, and then when I got this one, I would only have to pay the difference, the 1 combat point, to do longbow. So I'm going to pay the 3 and upgrade, and then because I'm not going to need the longbow 2, I might as well sell that card for 1 combat point that I can use later on. And then I'm going to go ahead and attack. So I've got 4 arrows and a foot. 4 arrows gives me 7 damage because of my longbow 3 upgrade. I think I'm just going to roll this one and see if I can get 1 more arrow. And there it is. So there is all 5 arrows. So that deals 9 damage. Because I didn't get 3 of a kind with the numbers, I don't do any status effects. So it's just the 9 damage.
Okay. So 9 damage. Now my defensive roll is a little weak to start off with, to be honest. I get to defensive roll with only 3 dice, but if I roll a heart, this heals 2 times heart. So I gain 2 life for each heart that I roll. Okay? So let's see what happens here. And in this case, I rolled nothing, which means I take the full brunt of that 9 damage this round.
All right, and there is nothing in my second main phase that I want to do. So I will pass the turn to Anthony.
Okay. I will collect my card and collect my 1 combat point. All right. You know, I actually feel like I'm a little bit hurt here, so I'm going to play this instant card, which allows me essentially another defensive roll. I'm going to roll 3 dice, and I'm going to heal 1 plus 2 times my heart. So I'm going to get at least 1 heal. I'm going to roll 3 dice here and see if I can get some hearts. And I roll the same thing. Wow. Okay, so I get at least 1 heal off of that. And I'm going to move on to my attack phase. All right.
Here are your hearts.
In my attack phase, I'm going to roll a whole bunch of 5s. So I have 3 5s, so a 3 of a kind. There's no status effects on me at this point. I'm going to keep rolling. I feel very vulnerable right now. I need to see if I can get as many heals as possible. So I got 3 of a kind and 2 more hearts as well. So I'm going to be able to heal 7. So I'm going to bump myself from my 26 up to my 33.
Would I be able to do a defensive roll and cause more damage to you?
Because I did not attack you, I do not believe you get to do a defensive roll against me.
Okay.
Because there's nothing that you're
I'm
defending.
not defending. Okay.
Okay. So, all right, and then for this phase, I am done with my second main phase, and I'll turn over to Christy.
All right. Well, I'll start by collecting my 1 combat point and drawing a card. And I think I'm just going to skip over my main phase right now and go straight to my offensive roll phase. And there are 4 4s. And a 2. Which doesn't give me a ton, but I do have one that's 3 feet and 2 arrows that gives me an evasive, which allows me to roll the dice when I'm attacked. Roll 1 die, and if it's a 1 or a 2, then I don't receive any damage. And it also deals 7 damage to Anthony. So I think I'm going to roll just 1 die and see if I can get a second arrow. And I did. So I'm going to do the covered shot. So
All
I'll
right.
attack him with 7 and I'll gain an evasive.
All right, so with this one, I actually gain 2 heart, and so I gain 2 health per heart, so that would give me 4 health back. So her 7 damage is now cut down to essentially 3 damage. So I'll take that 3 damage and be down to 30 health right now. Okay.
All right. Well, I am going to take my main phase, and I'm going to go ahead and pay my 3 combat points and upgrade to Exploding Arrow 3, which allows me to, once I roll 3 moons and an arrow, I can re-roll all 5 dice, and I'll deal at least 3 damage plus 3 times every arrow and 2 times every foot, and for every moon he would lose 2 times combat point. And I inflict blind and entangle on him, some status effects. So that's pretty sweet. Exploding Arrow. I'm also going to sell my Exploding Arrow 2 card, since I'm not going to need that. And I'm going to up to 1 combat point. And then I'm done with my turn. I will pass it over to Anthony.
All right, excellent. All right. So, start off with my phase. I'm going to draw my card, take my combat point, and see what I can do. Okay. Nothing I really want to try doing right there at this point, so I'm going to roll for my offensive roll phase. Ooh. And I got a smack right off. So all the swords in one roll. And I think I'm just going to stay right there. And
that's 8 damage?
8 damage from a smack.
Alright, well, I'm going to start with my defensive roll. So we'll see where that takes me. So there is 3 arrows and 2 moons. So that doesn't prevent any damage. However, it does deal 1 damage to him.
Okay. So I take 1 damage.
I could use my evasive status effect. But I think I'm actually not going to take it this turn, and I'm going to keep it there and hold on to it for a little bit later. So you're going to deal 8 to me.
Yep. All right, and I'm going to play this card here, which is in my roll phase action. So if I have successfully dealt 8 damage to an opponent after their defense concluded, play this card and inflict concussion.
Oh man.
Okay, so what will happen with concussion here is a player inflicted with this token must skip their income phase and then remove this token.
Okay.
So Christy now will not get to draw a card or gain a combat point on her next phase. And then I am done with my rest of my turn, and I will turn it over to Christy.
All right. Well, I guess I will return this to you and not take my income. And I don't have any cards I want to play in the main phase, so I'm going to go ahead and do my offensive roll. All right, there's 4 arrows and a 5th arrow, but again, no 3 of a kind. So I will deal 9 damage to Anthony.
All right. I'll roll my defense. And I again do not get any hearts. So 9 damage done to me. I'm down to 20 life, and Christy is at 23.
And again, I don't have any cards I want to play, so I will turn the turn over to Anthony.
Okay. I will draw, and I will gain my combat point. And I will play Vegas Baby and roll a dice. And I will gain half the value as combat points rounded up. And so 4 gives me 2. So I'm now at 5 combat points. Okay, and then I will go forward to my offensive roll phase. And I think I am going to try healing myself up some again. And we'll try that again.
Ooh.
Alright, so I did it again. Healed a full 7, and if there was any status effects on me, I'd be able to remove those. So I'm going to move my health up to 27. And then... Okay. That will be all that I'm going to do this phase, or this turn. Turn it over to Christy.
Okay. Well, I have income this turn, so I'm going to take my combat point and draw a card. And I'm going to go ahead and play my triple up. It's going to cost me both my combat points, but it allows me to draw 3 cards. Okay, and then I will go ahead and play my getting paid and get my 2 combat points back. And I've got to see what else I've got here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and roll. It helps me line up the dice to see what I can do. Well, I'm 1 away from a covered shot. I would need 1 more foot. So, I think I'm going to try that one for right now. And there it is. So there's a covered shot. So that's going to deal 7 damage. And I will gain an evasive. Oh, and then I'm going to play Take That, which doesn't cost me any CP, but it says I roll 1 die, and if it's an arrow, I add 2 more damage. If it's a foot, I inflict Entangle, and if it's a moon, I inflict Blind. So it's a foot, so I inflict Entangle. And what this does is he only gets to roll 2 times on his next offensive roll.
Okay. All right. So I'll roll my defensive roll. Wow, I am doing great on defensive rolls today. But I'm also going to play this card. It costs me 1 combat point. It says, not this time. I'm going to target player prevents 6 incoming damage. So I'm only going to take 1 damage from that. Okay.
Now, I did want to point out really fast. On my evasive, I have 2 on here now. I'm allowed to have 3, a max of 3. All the other status effects between these 2 characters, you can only have 1 at a time. Most of them resolve quickly, though.
All right. And you are done with your turn?
Yes.
Okay. I will draw my card. Take my combat point. Okay. And I don't have anything to play this round, so I'm going to go to my offensive roll phase. So what I'm debating on right now is I have 6 damage that I could deal and re-roll this to try gaining the potential of 8 damage, which is probably my easiest roll because I have 3 swords on the 1, 2, 3s. Okay. The other thing I'm contemplating is the potential of gaining overpower here. If I get overpower, so I would want to roll 1 of these. And if I got another 6, that would grant me the ability to then roll 3 dice, and if my total roll value on those 3 dice that's what the damage would be that I would cause. And if that roll value is at least 14 that I inflict, then I would cause concussion to Christy again. The other potential that could happen is if I don't roll a 1 through 3, I might get a 4, so gaining a small straight. Okay, so there's that option there, which is probably more is going to happen probably percentage wise before a 6 would. But I think I'm going to stick with my higher values here, especially since I have Tangled and I only have one reroll this turn. I'm going to roll that one. And I got another sword. So I'll be causing 8 damage to Christy, and Tangled goes right back to her now, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. She has some that are called persistent that I can't get rid of unless something, they don't just automatically are done. I have to get rid of them utilizing a card or an effect like what's on my ability here for my hearts, getting the 3 of a kind. Okay, so that causes 8 damage to Christy.
Okay, I'm going to do a defensive roll. And okay, I got 2 feet, so that means it only causes 4 damage. And I got 2 arrows, so I damage him once.
All right, and then I'm done with my turn.
Okay. I do not have a concussion, so I am able to earn a combat point and draw a card. I think I'm going to discard that card and get a 4th combat point. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll for my offensive roll. Okay, well, there is a longbow. I'm gonna roll these 2 feet. And there's another longbow. A little bit longer, so that's 7 damage. Again, not a 3 of a kind. Alright, so I will deal 7 damage using my longbow.
I am going to have you re-roll one of your dice. And let's see here.
You want me to re-roll that one?
No, definitely not re-rolling that one. Let's just have you re-roll that 3 right there.
Okay. I thought for sure you wanted me to re-roll the 6. Okay. Well, in that case, I will do the diminishing shot instead, which inflicts target and then deals 4 damage. So target is when a player afflicted with this token is damaged as a result of an opponent's offensive roll phase, add 2 to the damage total. And that's the one that's persistent. So I deal 4 damage, we add 2 because you're targeted, so I do 6 damage.
Okay. So now both of us are at 19 damage.
All right.
And so if you notice what Christy did here is she inflicted the targeting first, then she dealt the damage. So as you go through the directions on for each of these areas, you keep that in mind that they add to each other as you continue down through. Okay?
Now, you took the damage. You didn't just roll your defensive roll.
Oh, thank you. I will go ahead and roll that now as well. And so with my defensive roll, I've now gained 4 health back.
All right, so now we're on to my main phase. My second main phase. I'm going to pay 4 combat points for Anthony's least favorite card, I think, that Moon Elf has. It gives me an invasive, and that's my 3rd invasive, so I can't gain any more until I use them. It also gives him a blind, an entangle, and a target, but since he's already got 1 target, he can't give a second one. So we've already done the entangle. The blind says the next time he afflicts, the next time a player afflicted with this token concludes their offensive roll, the player must first roll 1 die. If the result of the die is 1 to 2, their offensive roll phase has no effect of any kind. Either way, remove this token at the conclusion of the roll phase. So now he can only roll this dice twice, and then he has to roll a die to see if it actually goes through or not.
Okay, but that's if I'm inflicting damage.
If you're inflicting damage, yes.
Okay. Is that the end of your turn?
That is.
So I will collect my card, collect my combat point, I am going to pay 2 and increase my smack. That increases the damage from a 4-6-8 to a 5-7-9, and if I have a 4 of a kind, this attack becomes undefendable. Okay? So then, I'm going to go ahead and roll my attack, and I do that at full strength, my offensive roll. I am actually going to re-roll all 3 of these. And I rolled another heart. And because I can only do 1 re-roll, I won't roll those again. But what this will do is I will gain 5 health back. So I'm up to 28. And because I rolled a 3 of a kind, I remove 1 status effect from yourself. So I will remove the targeting, and I've already been inflicted with the entangled, so that is now gone as well.
Yep.
Okay. And with that, let's see here.
Oh, you need to re-roll. You need to roll 1 die, because it doesn't say if it does damage to me. It says the next time you conclude your offensive roll, the player must first roll a die. If the result of that die is 1 or 2, it has no effect of any kind.
All right, well, let's see if that actually holds true then.
Okay.
It does, because I did not roll a 1 or a 2. And so now I lose blind as well. Okay, so something that needed to keep in mind is that blind has an effect whether it's inflicting damage or not inflicting damage, so we need to keep that in mind.
Yep.
All right, so everything still held true. I increased my health by 5. I got rid of a status effect and so forth. So I do not have anything more to do this turn. Your turn.
Quick question before I start my turn. On your fortitude,
Yes.
what does it say about three of a kind?
On 3 of a kind numbers, you may also remove one status effect from yourself.
Oh, from it does say from yourself. Okay, good. Just making sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I grabbed the dice. I need to take my income first. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll. I think I'm going to. I'll just roll this one. Okay. Now, I think I'm going to roll all 3 of these. That helped. 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So 5 arrows, but not any 3 of a kind. So I deal 9 damage.
All right, so I'll roll my 3 dice for defense. I gain 1 heart, so that's 2 healing. So her 7 damage is what will be inflicted.
All right, and I'm not going to play any more cards at this time, so I'll pass the turn to you.
Okay. All right. So I will take my card, gain my combat point. So I am going to play 2 combat points to play remove all status effects from target player.
Oh, ouch.
So I'll
That's
remove
harsh.
all of her evasives. Then hope, among all hope, that I score a really big offensive roll to do damage. Alright, well, kind of not going that route yet. Let's see what we got here. Not what I wanted. Come on. Alright, so did not get what I wanted,
You have a small
but
straight.
I do have a small straight, which I'll take that. 9 damage. Yeah. 9 damage there.
All right, well then. And I will deal, I'll take all 9 damage, but I will deal 2 back to you.
Okay. Alright, and I'm done.
Okay. So I'll take my combat point and my card. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and roll. Okay. looks like I've got demising shot. Demising shot. Really, I can read. Demising shot. But I think I'm going to play my 6-it card, which allows me to change the outcome of any of one of my dice to a 6. So instead, I will do the exploding arrow 3, which allows me to re-roll all 5 dice. I will automatically deal 3 damage to him, and then I will do 3 times every arrow I roll, and 2 times every foot I roll. And then for every moon I roll, he will lose 2 times every moon in combat points. And I roll 5
Arrows.
So 15 and 3. So 18 damage. Oh, and I inflict blind and entangle for his next turn.
And I don't heal any of it. So 15,
18.
18. I am down to 1 point.
Just holding on.
Alright. Let's see what I can do. Is it my turn now?
Yes.
Alright. I will draw 1 card. I will gain 1 combat point. I will pay 2 combat points to play triple up, which lets me draw 3 cards. I'm going to sell 1 card to gain a combat point. Sell a second one. Get a combat point. Alright. Then I am gonna roll. I'm on the brink of death here, so I'm going to go for the health.
And that is your second roll, and those are, you can only do the 2.
Okay, so now I have to, I've done the entangled.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do the blind,
Yep.
which thankfully I rolled higher than a 2. So blind is done. I will get to gain the 5 health that I have available to me. Okay, and that will be the end of my turn.
Okay. So I'm going to take a combat point, draw a card. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and roll. Alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and roll all 3 of these. Okay. Alright. So that does 7 damage, and because it's a 3 of a kind, it inflicts entangle.
I'm going to do an instant. I'm going to change one of these so that it is not a 3 of a kind.
Alright, I still do 7 damage, but I don't inflict entangle.
Okay, so I will roll my defensive roll. And I did not earn any health whatsoever. I have been knocked below 0. And Christy has won the game. All right, well, thank you for joining us on this playthrough. We've had a lot of fun actually playing this game together to learn the playthrough and what's going on. And hopefully you join us for our game review. So thank you again, and this is Miller Maniacs with Anthony and Christy. Goodbye, folks.